jewels or dollar store jewels or a color contrasting wood or a penny. You can let your imagination go and see whatever you want to try. Sometimes you can even take a skew. I don't have a skew, but I can use my square scraper and I can put a couple little V grooves in the bottom. Gives you a little surprise when you open the box. Now that I've done that, whenever I do the connection for the boxes, I'll sand the housing of the box, but you never really want to sand too much on your connection because you'll take too much off one side. So I'm just actually touching it to get that frayed stuff off. You want to have a really good connection right from the tool. If you start sanding away material.
Do you want that tailstock there, Kate, or do you want to move it? Do you want the tailstock there, or do you want to move it off?
Yeah, I could. I was going to try and get away without it, but it's a lot easier with it on.
Very good.
Okay, now I have the inside of my lid done. I can pass this one around. You guys can take a look at it, check it out, see the connection that I'm doing and the lid. That one I did today. It's sanded to 180 on the outside, and the inside is not sanded at all.
Does it matter how much you take out of the lid, like where you're painting it on inside?
It doesn't really matter, no. You can take as much as you like out of the lid. You just got to make sure that whatever curve or shape you're going to make the outside, you don't make a funnel, or you don't make a holy bowl.
Boy, you make one mistake and you're just labeled for life, eh? I tell you.
I'm glad you came along, took the pressure off me.
Absolutely.
That's what I call it.
Once I've done my lid, well, the inside of my lid, that's all done. I use this as a reference to do the inside of my box. Once I do the inside, this will be done, and I'll do the outside contour of that box. When mounting this in the chuck, you just need a little bit of pressure in the center. Make sure all faces of the chuck are flat, and a good bite in the chuck, or a good grip with the chuck teeth. There's a lot more wood hanging out here, and it is end grain, so you don't want to get a catch because it will come off. Once I've done that, I had my tool rest high above center so I could use a scraper. You always use, with a standard scraper, you always use your tool rest higher than center. Now I'm using a parting tool, so I want to go back down to center. The only reason I'm using this is to true up my face and create a slightly concave. You don't have to go all the way to the center because you're going to be taking that out anyway. I forgot I need this. Once I've done that, I use a Jacob's chuck and a Forstner bit to get my depth. It takes a lot of wood out of the center, so now you can get your scraper in there and cut from the center outwards, which really takes the wood off fast. If I were not to do that, and I were to go in from the rim inwards, it would take a quite substantial amount of time to take that wood away safely. But if you're in the middle cutting downhill, you can remove a lot more material quickly. Line that up with the center. Actually, first, I would take this, check it, make sure I'm not going to go through the bottom.
Why? That's where all the fun is.
Could be a funnel box.
We like funnels.
Yeah. Mini strainer.
Works for me.
Sure did.
Okay,
Can't hold water though.
would you use an 1.25" Forstner or a 1 inch rather than that appears to be about 5/8 or?
You can use a 1 inch or whatever size you have. I tried using the 1 inch earlier today. It's so dull it just burned the wood so it wouldn't cut, and it was actually stopping the lathe. So I went to this bit, which is sharp. So it allows me to actually go into the wood without burning the wood, burning the temper out of the bit, taking the dullness out of the bit, and it works a lot quicker. You can use really whatever you like. If you have a 2 inch and you want a 2 inch inner diameter, hog it right out with the 2 inch, and then all you have to do is take your scraper and take that little Forstner dimple out of the bottom. I don't have a Forstner bit that big, so
You have to go
I
slow.
use what Forstner bit I have and then remove the material. When you're using a Jacobs chuck, make sure it's secure. The Morse taper is secure in the tailstock. Turn your lathe right down to the lowest speed. Right now I'm running at 700. You always want to drill slow, otherwise you're going to burn the wood and burn the temper out of the bit. Make sure you have your tailstock locked. Whenever you're boring it with the Jacobs chuck, always keep your hand on the Jacobs chuck. Especially when you're removing that bit from the wood, because as it heats up, the wood will expand and the metal will expand and it gets really sticky. So as I remove this, that bit can get stuck in the wood. Removing the Jacobs chuck from your tailstock, and then now you have a projectile. One guy at the WGO was doing it. He wasn't holding on to this. This came out and it nearly broke his arm. When you're drilling, you always want to go in a bit. We'll come back out, relieving all that sawdust that's in there, because it will just bind up with your Forstner bit, heating up your Forstner bit and heating up the wood. That will take the temper out of the bit, dulling the bit, and potentially cracking your box.
Water on that, spray water as a lubricant / cooler? No.
You can, yeah, you can actually, it's good to have a little water dish.
We also use candle wax and rub the candle on it so it lubricates it a bit more so it won't squeak.
Okay, roughly how much more time do you think you need? Okay, how much more time do you think you're gonna need? About another
Not too long, I don't think.
20 minutes, 15 minutes?
20 minutes, yeah?
How's everybody for time? Because right now we're just past 7:30. We good for another 20 minutes? Yeah. Okay.
smoking room. Alright, that's deep enough. Now I'm using a scraper, so I want to be slightly higher than center. Ramp your speed back up. And you can use either a round nose scraper or a flat scraper. I use both. Depends. If I want a nice square bottom, I would use the square. I always start off with a round scraper. A square bottom, I'll transition to my square scraper. Once I've removed majority of the material. But you don't want to remove too much from that, because if you remove too much, you're not going to have enough connection. Now I'm at the bottom. Now I just want to take that nipple right out of the innie, or the belly button right out of the bottom of the. More stable than my body, rather than trying to hold it out here. I was getting quite a now that I've removed the meat and I've rounded that little dimple out of the bottom of my box, I will switch to my square scraper. I removed the bottom profile to create a side scraper as well, which really cleans up the inside of my boxes, holes, creates a really good sharp joint. And now this, I just push my way in until I get the bottom. Square scraper, as long as you're cutting the side going down, there's not much of a bite at all, but once you hit the bottom of your box, you contact the full surface of the scraper, you get quite an awakening. Everybody,